The greatest mystery in our skies has just gotten a little bit stranger. Howard's top scientists say that it could be a nuclear-powered alien craft.
There are things in space that are not meant for us to understand. A lesson learned the hard way with Comet 3IA Atlas, a traveler from a distant star that was supposed to be a scientific wonder. As it got closer, it revealed its true nature, shifting to a hostile blood-red hue, a color that defies astrophysics, as 4 of our most advanced space telescopes watched in unison. This wasn't a discovery. It was an activation, and now the U.S. Space Force is preparing for a scenario that was, until last week, pure science fiction. This red alert in the void broke the cold, silent rules of space, where comets glow ghostly green or blue, asteroids are dull gray, and stars shine with predictable fire. The story starts with 3IA Atlas, discovered last year and officially designated the 3rd interstellar object ever detected. Behaving as expected for months, a faint fuzzy blob traveling at an incredible 100,000 Morov. Then came the sudden change, starting with the Spitzer Space Telescope detecting a massive spike in heat from the comet's core. The real shocker followed when the James Webb Space Telescope's data showed the fuzzy atmosphere, the coma changing color, with the typical cyan and green glow vanishing, replaced by a deep pulsating crimson red. A color like that is a huge red flag in astronomy, but this shade was too pure, too uniform, less like a natural phenomenon and more like a light switch had been flipped. Observatories, including the Hubble and the retired Kepler, confirmed the data across 4 of our best instruments. 3. IA Atlas was now a hostile blood-red object shining with its own light, not just reflecting the sun's. The thing nobody tells you is that the light wasn't steady. It was pulsing with a complex, repeating rhythm, almost like a heartbeat that beat once every 84.6 seconds. It was a signal. The scientific community entered a state of controlled panic. This was no longer a comet, but something else entirely, masquerading as one, which had used the sun's energy to power up, shed its disguise, and start broadcasting. The data was immediately flagged and sent far beyond NASA, landing on the desks of a specific group at Vandenberg Space Force Base, because when an object from another star system suddenly turns on a giant red pulsating light, it stops being a scientific curiosity and becomes a matter of national security. This was the Comet Icarus Protocol, and the game changed completely, becoming a job for military analysts and code reekers. The United States Space Force was created for exactly this kind of scenario, a potential threat from beyond Earth, leading to the formation of a classified task force codenamed Project Icarus. Their job was to figure out what 3IA Atlas was, what it wanted, and if it was a threat, starting with analyzing the pulse, which was too perfect to be natural. Analysts at the National Security Agency, NSA, were brought in, quickly discovering that the pulse was not a simple on-off beat, but contained trillions of smaller, faster fluctuations, a complex stream of information buried inside the main signal, like a whole library hidden inside a single word. They had no way to translate this language, which was written in a form of physics they were only beginning to understand. While the code reekers worked, the Space Force was pointing every sensor they had at the object, including the Space Surveillance Network, trying to determine its exact size, shape, and composition. The object was about 2 miles long and shaped like a long, thin shard of glass, but the radar returns were baffling, at times being completely radar absorbent, and at others reflecting signals with impossible intensity. The thing nobody tells you is what the heat signature showed. While the outer shell was glowing red, the core remained at a temperature just 3 degrees above absolute zero, 454 F. This is a scientific impossibility, defying the laws of thermodynamics, and meant the object was using a form of technology that was completely unknown to us, built on a different understanding of physics. The alert level was raised because this wasn't just an object sending a signal. It was an object that could manipulate energy and matter in ways we couldn't comprehend. The question was no longer just what is it saying, but what can it do? With intelligence agencies stumped, Project Icarus shifted its focus from decoding to defense, preparing for the messenger. The most critical question was its trajectory. Original projections showed it would swing around the sun and be flung back out into interstellar space. But this was an object under intelligent control. The Space Force began a constant 24/7 monitoring campaign, looking for any sign of a course correction. Weeks passed with nothing, but the USSF veterans knew better. In warfare, you don't show your hand until you have to. Then it happened. A change so small it was almost missed. As the object passed through the orbit of Mars, it failed to slow down as much as it should have, ignoring the planet's gravitational pull. For an object 2 miles long, this was a jaw-dropping revelation. 3IA Atlas had some kind of internal drive and was actively resisting the pull of the planets. This was the final proof. This was an artificial object, a ship, a probe, something with a purpose. The mood inside Project Icarus turned to grave concern, dealing with a technology that could negate gravity. Special satellite teams were activated, tasked with developing defensive strategies. How do you stop something that gravity can't touch? The mission expanded as the USSF started looking not just at 3IA Atlas, but also at what was happening here on Earth. Operating under a terrifying new assumption, 3IA Atlas might not be alone. For anyone trying to wrap their head around this, it can feel like a story straight out of Hollywood. But it's about data. 4 of our most reliable scientific instruments all telling us the same impossible story, about radar and thermal readings that break the known laws of physics. We are faced with a conclusion that is as humbling as it is terrifying. Someone or something sent a probe into our solar system. A probe that is far beyond our technology, which traveled for what could be thousands or even millions of years. And now that it is here, it has turned on a light and announced its presence. This forces us to ask the big question, why? If a civilization had the technology to build a gravity-defying, self-illuminating probe, they surely had the technology to keep it hidden, but they chose not to. They changed the object to a hostile, impossible color and started broadcasting a complex pulsing signal. This was a deliberate act. Inside Project Icarus, the debate is no longer about what it is, but why it's here. And some truly wild theories are now being treated with deadly seriousness. The lighthouse theory suggests the message isn't even for us. Positing 3IA Atlas is an ancient warning beacon, and our solar system is about to drift into a dangerous region of the galaxy, with the red light being a galactic danger sign. An even darker gaining traction is the Harbinger theory, which suggests the object is a sophisticated terraforming machine or seed ship, with the sudden energy spike and color change being the start of its primary function, releasing clouds of microscopic self-replicating machines designed to alter our atmosphere, oceans, or biology to pave the way for future colonization. The most unsettling theory of all is the litmus test, where proponents believe the object's creators are watching us right now, and the entire event, the disguise as a comet, the dramatic color change, the indecipherable signal, is a carefully crafted psychological test to see how we react to something completely outside our comprehension. Is this a first contact scenario or the prelude to something we aren't prepared for?